When I polled my community, you guys asked for copywriting and tutorials. So here it is. Ask and ye shall receive, unless I don't feel like it, and then don't get after me. Let's see where your copywriting skills fall on the scale from amateur to expert. Hey, I'm Carrie. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome for the very first time. All around, welcome. I'm Carrieblogger, a career freelancer on Fiverr.com, where I've been selling as a Fiverr Pro verified copywriter for about the past 9 years. And in today's Freelance Friday video, I'm going through 4 levels of copywriting with examples from amateur to newbie to groupie to expert. But before we get into that, we have to announce this week's Blogger of the Week. And if you'd like to be the Blogger of the Week, just like Pixie Hyperwing, all you have to do is drop a comment down below and you might get picked. So this writing example is a real client that I have. I wrote a landing page for them a couple weeks ago, actually during a day in the life video. I'm pretty sure was when I did it and talked about it. So let's run through some background information, basically like a simplified version of their brief that you need to know in order for this to kind of make sense. So essentially for all 4 of these writers, which are all me, this is the information they would have to work with. So the name of the company is PSI Capital. They don't have a slogan. Their service is essentially just being a venture capital firm. Their focus is on Web3, crypto, decentralized blockchain projects. Their experience is 35 years combined in private equity, investment banking, and software. Their goal is to fund early stage startups, and their quote that they told me is to use crypto to bring transformational changes across sections of society. And the style that they specifically want is something professional, trustworthy, elite, and friendly. They said kind of like Apple is the goal. So that's the brief. That's what you need to know in order to write this website. And hey, if you happen to be a crypto startup looking for early stage funding, definitely check them out. Again, it's PSI Capital. They're my client. They're awesome, super nice. And you can check out the link in the description to get to their page more easily. All right, so first we're gonna read through it. I wrote 4 different versions of just an excerpt of landing page content, and then we're going to kind of identify the bits and pieces that make it each level what could be done better. Starting off with amateur. Venture capital cryptocurrency funding. We are a venture capital firm titled PSI Capital. We give money to startups who want to make cryptocurrency projects and do Web3 and use decentralization. As you know, decentralization is the transfer of control of an activity or organization to several local offices or authorities rather than one single one. As a result, your activation will be able to start to breed faster in order to go to store. So, sir, madam, if you desire contacting us, please to do so now. Honestly, not so different than content I have genuinely been hired to rewrite that other people have gotten for super, super cheap and were rightfully super disappointed. So right off the bat, this header has incorrect title case, basic misspellings, just a lack of detail awareness, and it is just a basic definition of what this firm is. No grip, no reason to have that as a header. You'll also notice that the first 2 sentences start with the word we. That's just a repetitive sentence starter. It is literally stating the obvious. We're a venture capital firm. And it doesn't hook or involve the reader at all. It's just talking about the company in a alone, independent sense. It's also, again, misspellings. It's not a capital firm with an O. And it just has really unnatural, non-native sounding phrasing. You don't title a company something. Then we have just a misusing of specialized terms and phrases. So one of the things that's really challenging about my work is that writing for all of these different industries, I have to very quickly understand the jargon and know how to apply it in a way that genuinely matches the way that they, the reader, and the company use that language. So in this case, this imaginary writer did not do their research, and these phrases do not make a lot of sense. Also in that sentence, you can see that we have misspellings. Cryptocurrency does not have a hyphen. Startups is not capitalized, doesn't have a hyphen. And we also have the misuse of who versus that. So startups is technically a group of people, but it's not a person. So it would not be startup who, it's startup that wants. And we also have no commas in this list. Big mistake. Unnecessary sentence starters is just a pretty common trope among really inexperienced writers. So we have, as you know, as a result. So plus it feels super weird when I read it. We just took a plagiarized literal definition from Google that is both, again, plagiarized direct copy and also not really relevant in this case for what decentralized actually means in this particular case. Coming towards the end of this one, you can hear where those spun words don't make any sense. Like incubation, I changed to breed as a synonym. Go to market got changed to go to store. Again, that's really common for new writers to just pull out one or two words to flip out so that it doesn't technically get flagged for plagiarism, but it makes the content make no sense. Here again, we've got awkward filler phrases. That is my number one complaint of this low quality content, is just all of these words that literally mean nothing. Last detail to note specifically is we have this very non-native sounding sir/madam. I have never ever met an American person who said or wrote that in an email. If you do not speak English as your first language, I'm telling you right now, tip number one, don't call someone sir or madam. It's just super not done. Overall for this one, other issues are that there's no formatting for UX, which is the user experience. It's just a big block with no call to action, no engaging formatting, no nothing. There's no style for the content that's consistent. There's no consistency in the way that this content is written. And ultimately, the biggest issue is there's no reason to read it. Doesn't say anything. Moving on to number 2 level. This is the newbie tier. We're getting a lot better, but we still have a million issues to talk through. So let's read it first. Let's take a minute to talk about today's video sponsor, Zyro. Zyro is the most affordable website builder on the market, and it's super easy to create a responsive online store that loads extremely fast. Save hundreds of dollars per year compared to other website builders, and set up your website in minutes with Zyro's AI website generator. Simply answer a few questions, browse results, and select an AI-generated template that matches your needs. Want more? You can refresh your search to see more design options. Use the link in the description with the code CARRIE to save 71% and get 3 months free with any yearly plan. This offer is only available for a limited time, but Zyro always offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks again to Zyro for sponsoring this video. Get funding for venture capital, cryptocurrency, and decentralized blockchain venture capital. It's really hard to get funding for cryptocurrency startups and blockchain funding. We get it. You want to change the world and make an impact and get your startup going in the right direction so that you can move from startup to a stand-up company that people respect and admire. What's standing in your way? Basically just money, right? Well, we can help. Get help today from a VC firm cryptocurrency and send us a message or call our office or request more information. Venture capital for cryptocurrency is what we do. We are experts for 35 years and you can trust us. All right, let's pull out these issues. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of them. First of all, the header does still not have the right title case. All of these for should not be capitalized and should not be capitalized. It's also just way too long. Imagine this being a header on a website, which is already the largest font on the screen. It would be like 4 lines long. And the keyword stuffing here is obviously super, super awkward. Not good. The awkward keyword stuffing continues. You can tell when I just chucked in these specific phrases for theoretically search value. And also you'll notice that they are bolded. This is a really common mistake that people think that bolding the keywords helps with SEO at all. It used to way back have a little bit of an impact. That is no longer true. You'll also notice that this format of like, you have a problem, I understand, we have a solution. It just feels super disingenuous and really inappropriate for this kind of a business where you're doing like high value deals between professional companies. Not the right way to go. This green section is all just one big fluffy run-on sentence. It doesn't say anything at all. That's a big issue. But the bigger one, in my opinion, again, where we get to that next level, is that it doesn't actually reflect the reader's real goals. Their goals are not to become a company that people respect. Like that might be a very, very secondary goal or something personal for them, but that's not the leading cause of why they would be going to a venture capital firm for funding. I was proud of this teeny little idea I stuck in the middle, this like wordplay of going from startup to stand up. That could be a cool concept that could be done better, but especially being chucked into this middle of the sentence, it's really awkward, it's not well executed, and it just doesn't actually add anything. It could if it was done right. You'll notice that it's a really overwhelming call to action here with no way for the reader to engage in this purple section. Send us a message, how? Or call our office, what's the number? Or request more information, click what, right? None of those things actually help the user. And then our last sentence is just that this phrasing is bad. It's incorrect grammar. Sounds really unprofessional. And the ultimate worst problem, which I genuinely see in content that I rewrite, like I'm not making this up, people do this. You can't just say to trust you. Like, you can't just say that. I don't know why people think that that's like all you have to do.
Just trust.
No, it's not how business works on the internet. So that's a big issue. Overall, to summarize other issues for this level 2 newbie tier of copywriting, we still have really poor formatting for the user experience, for UX. Like I said, there's no clickable buttons. There's no way to engage with the content. Ultimately, it doesn't match the company's style. It does have a little more of a style, but it's not the professional elite tone that they requested. Writing-wise, there's no commas in the whole thing. That's an issue. There's no thoughtful sentence phrasing to avoid those run-on sentences to make it naturally flow with how you would read out loud. And like I mentioned earlier, just that call to action of send us a message, get help is like hidden in the middle of the content. So it's definitely going to get overlooked and will have a very, very low click-through rate if they did even have in-text links. Moving up in the world, we're getting a lot better. We're up to level 3, groupie. Still not great, you'll see. Funding your future with PSI Capital. PSI Capital invests in cryptocurrency startups, early stage blockchain projects, decentralized protocols, Oracle infrastructure, crypto and token apps, and non-traditional finance startups. The entire Web3 landscape is this firm's investment focus. PSI Capital is a specialty venture capital firm. Click here. Funding experience. PSI Capital is a team that believes that the future will be driven by crypto. The venture capital firm combines 35 years of experience as professional, elite, and friendly experts. Some are also software engineers in the cryptocurrency and decentralized blockchain space. Click here. Headers getting better. The company doesn't have a slogan, so really the goal with this header is to come up with something that kind of could get reused by the company as a slogan if they like it. So funding your future, kind of catchy, but ultimately the end just ruins it. It turns it into this like really kitsch, unprofessional thing, and having that ... again, not on brand. We're diving right in with that first sentence to a super long, boring list. Way too long, no engaging hook at all. There's no way to talk to the reader or get them involved. It's literally just listing. And in this also is a really good example of the problem if you don't use an Oxford comma. So it can cause confusion when you're listing if you don't include a comma. Oxford comma is the comma before the last one. So in this case, you don't know if it's crypto, item independently, and token apps. And then you get, oh, well, that must not have been right because and non-traditional finance, that must have been the last and. I am an Oxford comma lover to the end of time. The end of this paragraph also is just super sterile. Still absolutely no reader engagement. There's no you. There's no speaking to the person who's going to be engaging. And you'll also notice that this choppy short sentence length feels very awkward, especially in contrast to that super long list we started with. We do have some call to action clickable buttons that you would ideally put it into your web design here, but they are too close together on the page. They are the identical text, and saying click here is literally the worst scammy thing you can put on a button ever, especially for a company like this. Small detail here, but I am a huge believer in not having repetition. So by saying PSI Capital is a team that believes that the future, we could easily rewrite that so that we don't have the double that next to each other. In general, it sounds super awkward that this whole content bit is written in third person about the company and not from them. The longer you get into it, especially, it just feels very, I don't know, it's just an uncomfortable feeling. I don't know if you noticed, but in the brief, it said that they want the content to be professional, elite, and friendly. You can't just tell people that you are professional, elite, and friendly. You have to, as the writer, use words that evoke those feelings. That's just like one tier up from just saying trust us. It's still not good. All right, and here's what we've been waiting for. This is the content I wrote for my client. I'm just gonna be a narcissist and say this is the expert tier. Build, fund, transform. PSI Capital is proud to support revolutionary startups and crypto projects that push Web3 forward. Bring your early round pitch to our team and access funding from like-minded investors. Intentionally, I made that first sentence do a lot of things, and you'll notice that these are all targets and little ticks and boxes that the other levels of copywriting were not able to achieve. We start off by defining the audience, revolutionary startups in the crypto space. It defines their funding focus, crypto and Web3, and it has an inspiring, relevant tone of voice, revolutionary, pushing forward. And it also has a direct call to action. We bring our early round pitch. We're accessing funding from like-minded investors. It is bringing not only a definition of the people reading, but also of the company itself, all wrapped up in 2 clear, easy to read sentences. We're excited by transformational ideas. Our venture capital firm invests in crypto projects that span the entire Web3 landscape, from gaming and collectibles to oracles and IDEs. We're excited by courageous entrepreneurs. The entire Web3 ecosystem is growing and expanding at breakneck speed. Whether this is your first project or your 5th, it's time to incubate. We're excited by early stage opportunities. The sooner, the better. We are most interested in seed and Series A funding opportunities with up-and-coming dynamic crypto companies. PSI Capital can help you cross the first funding hurdle and accelerate development with a focused investment partner. You'll see visually that it's also written with site design in mind. So we have kind of a really short header that would look great in large text. We've got 2 sentences for that little block of text underneath. Not too long. The site header where it opens isn't going to expand too far. We have 2 easily clickable buttons. And then underneath, we've got 3 content sections that could easily be worked out into like a horizontal 3-tier. It could literally be in 3 columns like I have it here. It could be in a slider where we have 3 next to each other. But all of the way I've written this influences and supports UX site design. I also tried really hard to have that friendly, optimistic tone that they wanted without saying that we're friendly. Like, you read this and it should feel welcoming. That's the goal. I very specifically used that technical jargon, trying to make it accurate and organic, like incubate, Web3 ecosystem, infrastructure, decentralized. All of those words are the way that the reader and the company would use those words, not just chucked in because I know I'm supposed to use it. We're not being robotic. And I'd say the last thing I really tried to do in this content is drawing on realistic challenges and concerns that the reader would have. So I commented in previous levels that it doesn't really tap into the reason that they're going to a venture capital firm for funding, or specifically why they would choose this company. What are their concerns that they need help solving? I said, PSI Capital can help you cross the first funding hurdle and accelerate development with a focused investment partner. That defines the real struggle that they have. Not just that they need funding, but that it's early funding. That's the next level that I was not told in the brief, but as a professional expert copywriter, I know it's my job to figure that out and translate for them. There you have it. This video is getting super long. That is a look inside my process of writing and comparisons for every level. Honestly, I had a weird blast writing those other 3 levels of content. It was really fun to try to come up with examples of like doing things wrong, and especially kind of trying to mimic the content that I see all the time that I either have to rewrite or that I just see and like roll my eyes at, like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. So comment down below to let me know what content level you think your writing is at. I'm curious. Ooh, and you should give me a slogan idea for a headline. What's your slogan idea you think that PSI Capital could use? All right, make sure to check out the pinned comment and description links down below to stuff I've got going on. Forgot to say, if you're still watching, you're my actual hero. You know it. And you are worth so much more than your workload. Let's get back to work.